Hey everybody! So today we're going to have a look at TOEFL speaking question number 2. You know, the one about the choice. Some people prefer A, while some people prefer B. Which do you prefer, and what are the reasons? Today we're going to look at a question about traveling. And specifically, this is going to be a very long question. So let's have a look at our question right now. Some people prefer to stay at home during a long holiday. Others prefer to travel. Which do you prefer, and what are your reasons? So the question is, during a long holiday, some people prefer to stay at home, and some people prefer to travel. Which do you prefer, and what are your reasons? So what's going to happen? You're going to listen to this question, and then it's going to be on your computer screen at the same time. So what you're doing when you see a really long question is to immediately find the two things that it's asking you. Do you like this one or this one? And choose one. Of course, my recommendation, always choose the first one. Why would you do that? Because it will give you more time to prepare. So instead of just looking at the first and the second and deciding, oh, which one do I really like? You look and you find the first one, and that will give you an extra 5 to 7 seconds instead of thinking about, do I like this one or do I like this one? Unless, of course, you're very familiar with the topic and you really do have a strong opinion. But in most cases, I recommend just choosing the first one because, once again, it's okay to lie. They don't know you. They're never going to meet you. And, once again, they're not really looking for your answer, they're looking for how well you can describe and explain your answer. So, let's have a look at my notes. Okay, so in my notes, I chose to stay at home. My two reasons were money and busy. And there's several different ways you can attack question number 2. You can say, A is better because, A is better than B because, or B is bad because. So I'm going to kind of do a combination, and we'll do some examples of using all three of those. I definitely prefer to stay at home during long holidays. The first reason is because it's much cheaper. Traveling is really expensive. You have to pay for airplane tickets, a hotel, and usually you spend a lot more money when you travel than you would at home. And the second reason I prefer to stay at home is because it's really busy in a lot of places during the holidays. Although I do like to travel, I don't like to travel during the holidays because that's when everybody else is traveling, and a lot of the important tourist areas I like to go to would be really, really busy. So to save money and because it's really busy in travel destinations is why I like to stay at home during the holidays. So that was my answer, and two things that weren't very good about it. I didn't really share any personal stories. I just talked about different reasons that might apply to any people. So it's really generic and it wasn't really personal. So now let's look at an example of one where it is more personal and it has specialized answers that talk about me personally. Although most of my friends like to travel during the holidays, I think it's much better to stay at home. And I have one really good story about why I feel this way. Last year, during Christmas time, I flew to Tokyo. And first of all, the airplane ticket was about 3 times more expensive as if it would have been if I would have not flown during Christmas time. And when I got there, everywhere was so crowded because it's the holidays and everybody wants to go out. So I didn't really enjoy my trip at all, and I wish I would have just stayed at home. So although I do like to travel, I think during the holidays, I would much rather stay at home during that time. So this answer was much more personal. I talked about a trip where I went to Tokyo last year during Christmas, which is not true at all, but that's okay. I was kind of just making it up as I went along. I remember I wanted to talk about money, so I talked about how the airplane ticket was more expensive instead of just buying it during the non-peak season. And that gave me a chance to get to a more advanced grammar technique. I used a conditional sentence. I believe I said, if I would have bought the ticket during a different time, it wouldn't have been so expensive. So that's a conditional sentence using would have. That's to describe something that you want to change in the past, or how it could be different if you would have done it instead of doing a different thing. And also my intonation was very good too. I believe I said, it was so busy when I was talking about my experience in Tokyo during the Christmas time. So that's another thing they're looking for. Do you have good intonation? Because they're checking on questions 1 and 2 to see how close you are to a native speaker. A native speaker uses intonation all the time. So to wrap things up for question number 2, make a personal story. Don't be generic. Use your intonation to stress things and give specific reasons of why you chose that over the other one. And remember, it's okay to lie because they don't know you and they'll never meet you. That's all for today. Goodbye.